Lottie, we're going to start with you because it's a very difficult issue, this, right? As far as we know, the boxer with male chromosomes was born with female genitalia.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually quite simple. Sex in humans is binary and immutable because we are mammals. And there is a minority of people who have disorders of sexual development, and that can affect a person's reproductive organs. But these people are male or female. And yesterday, what we witnessed was basically just glorified male violence against women and girls. The difference is, I mean, that happens every day all over the world. And the difference is that in every other circumstance, we consider beating up women to be wrong, but it was deemed acceptable by those at the IOC because they're claiming that it's sport. But it's not. It's violence and it's wrong.
Peter, Lottie's right, isn't she, that we've been talking a lot recently about violence against women and girls, and regardless of whether this person is intersex or transgender, they have male chromosomes. That means they have a very, very distinct biological advantage that could actually be fatal to a female athlete competing against them.
Well, of course, sport does need to be fair, and we do need to examine this case very thoroughly. There are reports that the boxer, Imane Khelif, was born a biological woman. She is not transgender. She is not non-binary. She is not intersex. She may have elevated levels of testosterone, but that's entirely natural. It's beyond her control. It's the way she was born. And that is why the International Olympic Committee has said that she falls within the rules. Now, of course, people will dispute that, but one of the former world champion boxers, a woman boxer, has said it's not fair to target her. This was the way she was born. It's outside of her control. She should be allowed to compete. Now, that's the wording of a former woman world boxing champion. Now, I think we have to look at more evidence and consider this case very carefully and not jump to conclusions. No one should be penalized because of the way they're born. Lots of elite athletes have advantages. Michael Phelps had huge physiological advantages in the swimming pool, which enabled him to win, 20 plus gold medals. And good luck to him, but no one said he had an unfair advantage, even though physiologically he had a bigger heart, a stronger lungs, he had extraordinary body length and arm width, he had feet that were almost like flippers. They're huge, gigantic feet, which powered him along through the water. That was clearly a strong advantage over other male swimmers, but no one said his medals should be taken away from him. So let's be careful before we jump to conclusions, and let's find out more evidence first.
What do you make of that, Lottie?
We don't need any more evidence. We have so much evidence. Men are stronger than women. Testosterone is a really, really, really powerful hormone. and it makes men stronger. It is really indefensible. And I think that, I mean, last time I checked, there were actually 18 peer-reviewed studies, Peter, that demonstrate male strength against women. And that is why we have categories. Categories exist because they allow everyone equality of opportunity. I cannot compete in an under-12s race, for example, because I am not under 12. I can compete in the categories that apply to me. That's why we have Paralympics. That's why we have Olympics. We have sex categories because they make everything, they give equality of opportunity to everyone. And I think that boxing is categorized by weight, and a male who is boxing a female who is the same weight as him is like a heavyweight man punching a lightweight man. Those are different categories, so that argument doesn't work. I've got lots of male friends who weigh less than me, and they are still stronger than me. They can still beat me to a pulp because they are male.
Peter,
I agree that fairness is absolutely paramount, and we must ensure that there is no unfair advantage. I also agree that as a general rule, males do have greater strength if they've been through puberty. What I'm saying about this particular case, this boxer has passed the Olympic rules, the rules set out by the International Olympic Committee. Maybe we need to revisit those and say that those rules are not adequate. But until we have a full assessment, and there's so little information, a lot of misinformation about this case, we shouldn't rush to judgment. But I agree, before the next match, a lot more information needs to be divulged. And if it is proven clearly that this boxer has an unfair advantage, then there is a case for saying she should not be allowed to compete.
Lottie, what do you make of the issue that this has got so much heat and very little light? After all, Imane Khelif competed in the 2020 Olympic Games and lost many games. And there wasn't the same sort of intense scrutiny that there is this time round. Is it because it's all been tied up with this sort of transgender row, which again, this is not a transgender person?
I think women are fed up of having to budge over and give up our medals, give up our podiums, give up our titles, because men who claim they're women a lot of the time are competing now. I understand being allowed to compete in our races. I understand that Khelif doesn't identify as transgender, but Khelif is male, and therefore should not be competing against a female. It is really, really as simple as that. And when you talk about, this argument it's got a lot of heat. I agree, it's got a lot of heat. Let's look at the facts. Facts over feelings. That's all we need to do, is look at the evidence.
Peter, we're looking at those images there of the female boxer clearly distraught at having to back out of this race for her own, out of this contest for her own safety. You mentioned the varying testosterone levels, but of course there's natural variation for women within a certain limit. But somebody who's born with male chromosomes, whatever, if they're intersex, whatever the expression of that is biologically, if they have male chromosomes and have gone through male puberty, which is what the International Boxing Association says about this fighter, then they have such a physical advantage over the female fighter that she can't reasonably compete, can she, against somebody who could potentially really seriously hurt her?
Yeah, I agree. We have to look at this case, but there's a lot of lack of information about this case. The International Boxing Association did rule against her and bar her under its rules, but this is a Russian-controlled body which has lots of questions hanging over its head about its rules and interpretations, and whose jurisdiction has not been accepted by the International Olympic Committee for the Paris Olympics. And that is because they have concerns about the IBA and its rules and the way they're interpreted and enforced. Going back to the issue, we do not know at this stage a lot of information. We don't know for certain whether Imane did go through male puberty, or even though she allegedly was born a biological woman. We don't know that. We don't know the levels of testosterone. So if her levels of testosterone were exceptionally high, then under the Olympic rules, she would be barred. But she hasn't been barred, and this begs the question, perhaps she's not over the acceptable legal level.
Well, Peter Tatchell and Lottie Moore, we're going to have to leave it there. We have run out of time, but thank you very much for a spirited debate.